is going on, guys? Today we are looking at the best value icon defenders you can get in FC24. With the amount of defenders that we've got going on, it's always nice to see some icons in this. We've obviously got heroes, we've got normal players, but when it comes to icons, they normally have a little bit of a value, especially when we do get so many icon player picks, and seeing as though we got one yesterday, I thought it'd be a good time. Now, in terms of the cheap value, I've kind of just whittled it down because I could easily just put everybody in here and go over if he's worth it or not, but I've gone with my favorite options from each category. We have cheap, mid, and blindly expensive. Now, in terms of the cheap ones, we've got two players in this that haven't even had a single upgrade, and icons have had a decent amount. We've had Thunderstruck, Centurions, Future Star, we've had Winter Wildcard, we've had Team of the Year, and we've also had another one that will come to me at some point, but we've had a lot. Desailly and Zambrotta have not had a single upgrade, and arguably, both of them would be incredible. Now, in terms of Desailly, I imagine he'll get a CDM card. Very much like how Coman should be, how Rijkaard can play centre-back CDM. Desailly will be the same as well, I can imagine. Him with a double play style plus a 3-star, 4-star CDM pace increase, that's going to be a phenomenal card. So I'm hoping they're waiting for something like a FUT birthday. And we always know this guy. He has normally got an incredible base, which is very similar to this one. The prime is normally the next level up, and then the campaign of like a team of the year or something like that, like a 94, 95, is incredible for him. So I'm hoping he does get another one soon. If we could see a rapid plus whipped pass, that could really shape up the right backs. But in terms of what we've got here at the moment, you've got Desailly coming in at 130. You have Zambrotta coming in at 90. Blanc is actually coming in at, he's not quite that because that was the SBC price. He is currently 198,000. So not a bad centre-back. He was pretty much everyone's first love in this game, especially for an icon centre-back, as he was the first one with an SBC. And I still think, even though he's probably not as prevalent as he was in the start of the game, he definitely could still give you a go. If Gold Virgil can still be in there, I guarantee you could still use Blanc. Again, depending on what your centre-backs are. If you've obviously got a Maldini, if you've got a Virgil and a Company, then fair enough. But in terms of the low end, he's going to do the business. And same with Campbell. I think for how cheap he is, he's probably one of the better ones you can get between the range of about 60 and 70,000 coins.
If your team's looking like this, then I have the place for you. Head over to U7Buy for all your coin needs. They're cheap, fast, and reliable, but make sure to use JT11 at the checkout for 6% off all of your coin orders.
What's really funny with the mid price is there is actually quite a lot. You've got some very decent options, some that I don't like. For instance, I'm not a big fan of Ashley Cole, whereas whenever I've done tier lists on icons, if I've done them on specific SBCs, people do like Ashley Cole, and it just might be my preference. He's not my sort of left back, especially now with the left backs we've got. Personally, for me, Bakker and Havertz have been an absolute life changer for how cheap they are and how good they can stay in a team. But there is always the option of his SBC. I think that might have finished by now, or at least it should be coming towards the end if it hasn't. No, it's still going, so you've got until the 13th of March. Jeez, that feels like it's been out ages. If we look at the rest then, you've obviously got a big of a price pool here. It's looking between about 350 and a million, because obviously after a million, you're looking pretty expensive. If you're spending a million coin per position, that can rack up a few M's. We have obviously I've got Roberto Carlos, who now has an upgrade, but still this card is definitely nostalgic if you are looking for just Roberto Carlos. There is some players where I think it doesn't matter how good or not good they are, people will want them. For instance, a Carlos Puyol. He is an absolute iconic Barcelona centre-back, and I think they definitely did him a decent upgrade. I feel like he really should have had that double play style plus. He managed to get an 8+ pace increase from obviously only a 1 rating upgrade, but going with just block, for a centre-back that was already going to be on the lower end, they might as well have upped him a little bit, even if they gave him a double play style plus that wasn't as meta relevant. It's not like it's anticipate and slide tackle or anticipate and aerial. They could have given him like block and quick step. Just give him at least 2. Make him that upgrade, because now Are we really going to see potentially a FUT birthday icon Puyol? It's very unlikely. Then we obviously have Petit, 370. You've got him mixed with Rijkaard as two CDMs that can actually play centre-back. Now, I've heard good things from Rijkaard, but I must admit my biggest fan would have been Petit, purely on that anticipate. Can play left-back as well. I'm not really feeling that one, but centre-back definitely, with the pace, the defend and the physical. We've really got a centre-back on our hands. Whereas I think for me, Rijkaard would be more your CDM, but he can play in that centre-back role as well. He's just got the intercept, which for me is more of a defensive mid rather than actually a centre-back. We have got some absolute top end in Rio Ferdinand, Cafu and Carlos Alberto. Them three are definitely at the topper end in terms of performance. We all love Rio's team of the year, and I must admit with the anticipate, I will absolutely take the base as well. Cafu is still in an SBC today. I think he's not got very long left as well. I can imagine we will see an increase of SBCs from icons very, very soon. I know we had a lot of the future stars, but we're going to be losing a lot. I can imagine we will get more SBCs of like how we got Centurions Eusebio. I imagine we're going to get more of them as well. He's got until the 18th of March, so if you need a right back, he is definitely one to have a look at. Carlos Alberto at 780. I personally really like him at centre-back. He's got that anticipate, which is always phenomenal. And the final two on this list, we have obviously got Cannavaro with his aerial / acrobatic. Another SBC that if you aren't necessarily got incredible centre-backs, he's still going to give you a good run-in. And I must admit, I really like Sol Campbell. He managed to get his upgrade, and I think in terms of what he brings to the table, decent pace, physicality is an absolute monster, and he's got great tackling. Bruiser plus... it's not necessarily my favourite, but he definitely can get the job done still. We then have 50% Maldini. We have the junior version at 1.2 mil. We have the base version that the SBC has now gone at 1.8. We have the fully upgraded dynasties at 2.6. And finally the future star at 3.8. Obviously, the Future Star is the only one with the double playstyle plus of intercept and quick step. The only thing with Maldini that I'm kind of not feeling in comparison to others, he's not lengthy, and that is a big combination factor if you are not necessarily the best defender in the game, because lengthy is just an absolute cheat code if you've used it. That's why Virgil's so good. The acceleration type is meant to be for centre backs, so when you do get cards like this that don't get that, it can be a little bit tricky when you're going for them long sprints. I'm finding that Virgil will catch people, Maldini won't do. The only difference is with obviously some of the others, especially the Prime or at least the base version, the slide tackle plus does come in handy when you want to get that tackle and you're not necessarily close to him. As well as that, the Dynasties has it, the junior version. And I must admit, Maldini's always going to be fantastic, but that is always now a question when going into the top end. Who are you going to choose? Rio Ferdinand, Maldini, Yashin? No other centre-backs on the list, but you've always got a Virgil in there anyway. Whereas Rio Ferdinand at 5.4 is arguably one of the better, if not best, centre-back for the icons at the moment. That anticipate with the slide tackle plus is arguably my favourite combination for the card. He's obviously lengthy as well. Great pace, defending, physical, everything about this card is a monster. Arguably, the price is just far too out of the reach. When we're looking at a Virgil Team of the Year at 15, 5.8, Lucio at 7 million, Company at 5, 6 million. That's a lot of coins for just the top end centre-backs. And it's fair enough because really the top end need to be that expensive to drop everybody else. It's why I quite like the middle variety because there's at least a decent option there. You don't necessarily need the top of the top. Like I could imagine you could put two of the same sort of levels, have two totally different defenders. So you could have Roberto Carlos, Rio, Maldini or Virgil, Lam, Cafu, and then go against a base Carlos, a base Cafu, a base Maldini, and they'd probably do fine, to be honest. They are all retrospective of how big is your club? How many coins do you actually have? Because realistically, these are all going to be so cheap once we get through Team of the Season because they are just going to lose the value. That is the whole point. The coins are to get them now, and more than likely, you'll just get them later anyway, which I'm excited for because there is a lot of good cards. Roberto Carlos, one of my favourite left backs in the game so far. A great upgrade from his future star. 2 million coins, so he is quite expensive, but what a card this is. Deadball and relentless, love the free kicks on him like anybody should. Pace-wise is fantastic, and obviously with that anchor, his defending physical just took a step up and a half. We have 2 right backs as well in Cafu, the better version, and arguably, no, probably not arguably, the best right back in the game for icon variety. 1.5 mil, he's obviously got a decent upgrade. It's not like he went crazy because unfortunately he didn't get the full upgrade and he would have been a 93 if he did manage to win, or at least his team managed to win the games to get his kind of card up that one more, which probably would have put him or solidified him into the top spot for quite a while. We have Yashin as a shapeshifter icon from obviously the Winter Wildcard. I feel like he did a pretty good job. We saw a lot of shapeshifters from Courtois going up front, Casemiro up front. We saw Van Nistelrooy go in net, Yashin come out. I'd say he's arguably one of the only shapeshifters that did really well in a complete transformation position. So like a goalkeeper into another or a striker into a goalkeeper. When it comes to like a left wing going to centre mid or a striker going into centre back, I'm like, it's normally okay, but I mean, you're not really going to use him too much. Yashin definitely comes in as one of the better centre-backs you can actually get. And Lahm, arguably I would like him as a CDM more so than anything, but I think he still does a good role. He's got the long ball pass, which is great for the pass either across the pitch or obviously pinging it to the left wing. That works really, really well. He's obviously got the 4-star, which again proves himself nicely. The only thing that I'd say the CDM would be better, he's got the passing and dribbling as well. If it was me, I would love him in that kind of middle role rather than kind of keeping him at the right back where I could easily put a Cafu. He has got the position to be a CDM, but like I say, he can still play both positions if you really wanted to. If I was having to pick a kind of cheap backline versus an expensive, it would be Roberto Carlos, Rio Maldini, and it'd be obviously Cafu Thunderstruck. If I was picking a other base icon centre-back line with obviously only the cheap ones, I think I'd go Roberto Carlos base, I'd go Rio, I'd go Blanc, and I'd probably just go Zambrotta. Let me know down below who you would go.